I praise Allah, bearing witness that there is no deity ever worthy of worship except Allah, and that Muhammad is his slave and messenger. Today, the topic is very important. It's about the strongest evidences that we should not be supplicating or calling someone else other than Allah. Now, before I start this, I'd like to quote some of the beautiful words that some scholars mentioned, like As-Suyuti. As-Suyuti made a beautiful comment on this ayah. وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي عَنِّي, if my servants ask you concerning me, فَإِنِّي قَرِيب, then I am close. Suyuti said, if somebody asks, why did Allah say, I am close? Why didn't He say, tell them I am close? Suyuti said, usually the question is answered by Allah by saying, tell them. If they ask you, tell them. But here, He said, I am, without saying tell them. As-Suyuti said, in this ayah, he did not mention it. Why? It's indicative to the fact that as far as the supplication to Allah is concerned, then you are the closest to Allah, and there is no mediator between you and Him. So only in this ayah Allah said, if they ask you, I am close. If my servants ask you about me, I am close. He didn't say, tell them I am. That's beautiful. That's a beautiful benefit and comment from As-Suyuti rahimahullah. That was mentioned in his book Al-Itqan, second volume, page 302. Second thing is what Al-Razi said regarding this ayah. He said, subhanAllah, the same thing. He said, as if Allah is saying, my servant, you need mediation in some other circumstances other than supplicating me. In the matter of supplicating me, there is no mediation, no one to interfere between you and me, because you are the needing servant, I am the rich God. That was mentioned in his book Lawami' al-Bayinat, page 88. Also Ibn Hajar, not Al-Asqalani, no, Al-Haytami, he mentioned the consensus of all the Hanabila scholars that whoever sets up between him and Allah mediators, asking them, supplicating them, he is rejecting faith. Mentioned that in his book Al-I'lam biqawati' al-Islam, page 95. Sorry, I have to go quickly and I cannot translate the names of the books. These are beautiful words. Also, another beautiful word narrated by Ahmad that he used to say while supplicating Allah, O Allah, as you have protected my face from bowing down to someone other than you, O Allah, protect my face from needing someone other than you. As you have maintained, protected, avoided my face from bowing down to someone other than you, O Allah, maintain my face from asking anyone other but you. Jami' al-Ulum al-Hikam, page 283. There is no hadith ever authentic that allows the living people to seek help from the dead people. No. No way. And there is no permission given by Allah for someone to ask the dead, as some people claim. They say, we call the dead, but we believe that by Allah's permission they can hear us. Who told you? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala touched you with harms, Can those dead people relieve you from that? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, those whom you call apart from Allah are servants the like of you. So call them and let them answer your call if you're telling the truth. Doesn't seem that Allah is permitting the living people to supplicate the dead. Allahu adina lakum. Is it Allah that permitted you? Am ala Allahi taftarun. Or you are crying lies against Allah. No. 14 centuries that had passed. For those who ask the Prophet, we need to ask them, did you ever ask the Prophet and he appeared to you and said, I am Muhammad, what do you want? No. Show me. If you say that, you're making yourself companion. Because the Prophet had appeared to the companions. And companionship, Sahaba as we say in Arabic, it's been finished. Terminated by the termination of the Prophet's life. If you claim that Allah permitted the living people to ask the dead, I said, why didn't the companions do that to the Prophet? If there's someone to be asked, the best one is the Prophet Muhammad. But despite that, the companions did not ask him after his death. So you claim that Allah permits it, or they can hear us by Allah's permission, is a lie, is a fraud. The other thing is, there is a surah called Al-Hujurat, the chambers. Why the chambers? Why do we call it chambers? Some people, they came to the Prophet ﷺ's house and they were calling him while they're outside. They know that the Prophet is inside the house. Oh Muhammad! They were yelling. And in this ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not permit or prohibited people shouting, yelling, raising their voices to the Prophet ﷺ. That's why the ayah says, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يُنَادُونَكَ مِنْ وَرَاءِ الْحُجُرَاتِ. As for those who are calling you from behind the chambers, أَكْثَرُهُمْ لَا يَعْقِلُونَ. Most of them have no understanding. وَلَوْ أَنَّهُمْ صَبَرُوا حَتَّى تَخْرُجَ إِلَيْهِمْ. But if they held patience until you go out to them, لَكَانَ خَيْرًا لَهُمْ. It would have been better for them. وَاللَّهُ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. So, the question is, why they had to raise their voices? If they have the same belief of what you have, you Sufi people, who believe today that even if I'm in London and I say, Oh Rasulullah, he can hear me. And if I ask him my need, he can give me. This is not the quality of a human being. It's a divine quality. So the question is, if they think that if that was their belief, why they had to raise their voices to let him hear them, to come out to them? Why they were raising their voices? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَنْ أَضَلُّ مِمَّنْ يَدْعُو مِنْ دُونِ اللَّهِ. Whoever more astray than one who supplicates someone apart from Allah, that never respond to him, مَنْ لَا يَسْتَجِيبُ لَهُ, until the day of judgment, إِلَى يَوْمِ الْقِيَامَةِ وَهُمْ عَنْ دُعَائِهِمْ غَافِلُونَ. And they perceive nothing about their supplication to them. They know nothing. They never heard them. غافل, they were heedless. So, if Allah permitted you to ask the dead, why Allah is describing them that they are heedless about your call to them? See? If He permitted you to call the dead. But here in this ayah, Al-Ahqaf, verse 5, he's saying that there is no one ever more astray than one who calls someone other than Allah, who will never be responding his call until the day of judgment, and he was heedless about their call to him. So Allah's talking about the deads. So how do you claim that Allah permitted you to call the deads? In another ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَاللَّهُ يَعْلَمُ مَا تُسِرُّونَ وَمَا تُعْلِنُونَ. And Allah knows what you conceal and what you reveal. وَالَّذِينَ يَدْعُونَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ. But as for those who supplicate other than Allah, لَا يَخْلُقُونَ شَيْئًا وَهُمْ يُخْلَقُونَ. They do not, those whom you supplicate them, those whom you invoke them, those whom you call them, they create nothing, but they are themselves created. Here, God is not talking about the idols, the stones, the statues. No. He's talking about people. The evidence? Listen to this. أَمْوَاتٌ غَيْرُ أَحْيَاء. They are dead, but not alive. You cannot say that the stone is dead. The stone is out of the system of death and life. Allah is not talking about the idols. He's talking about the dead people whom the idols had been imaged. They were made as a copy of the images of the righteous dead people. So let's get back to the ayah, to the verse. And Allah knows what you conceal and what you reveal. But as for those who call someone apart from Allah, they neither create, but they are themselves created. They are dead, but not alive. And they do not perceive when they will be resurrected. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is proving to them feeling, but now they have no feeling now, because they're dead. As Allah said, they are dead but not alive. Then Allah said, and they do not perceive when will they be resurrected. That means Allah is proving that they will be resurrected. You can't say that Allah is going to be resurrecting the stones. No way. So Allah is talking about righteous dead people, whom the living people kept supplicating them and asking them apart from Allah. Question is asking the dead is the way of the believers? No. No. Allah, look, the subject of the pure worship in the Quran, the bottom line of that, the objection against the pagan worshippers is this ayah, this verse. فَإِذَا رَكِبُوا فِي الْفُلْكِ دَعَوُوا اللَّهَ مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ. Whenever they join the ark, they supplicate Allah sincerely. فَلَمَّا نَجَّاهُمْ. But when Allah saved them to the wilderness, to the land, they return to their paganism. So Allah is talking about people falling in trouble in the high mountain waves in the sea, and people at that moment they forget all of those partners with Allah and they supplicate Allah alone. But when Allah saves them and they return to the land, they return to their paganism again. That is why our model of guidance, a leader of guidance, is Ibrahim. In English they call him Abraham. Ibrahim alayhi salam. When he saw the paganism with his own community, he approached them, asking them, do they hear you when you call them? Or do they give you any benefit? Or save you from any harm? Do they give you benefit? Do they remove harm from you? Do they hear you when you call them? They said, it's only we worshipping what our fathers used to worship. He said, do they hear you when you call them? But after that, he said, do you see those whom you worship? They are enemies to me, except Allah, the Lord of the worlds. So first he said, do they hear you when you call them? Then he said, do you see those whom you worship them? Calling the dead is a matter of worship. Who said that? Ibrahim. Who quoted it? Allah in the Quran. Therefore, he who does not differentiate between the living and the dead will be opposing the Quran. Absolutely. Because Allah said, وَمَا يَسْتَوِي الْأَحْيَاءُ وَلَا الْأَمْوَاتُ. Dead and the living one, they're not the same, they're not equal. That's why he said also, those whom you call apart from Allah, they are dead but not alive. So in other words, Allah is not saying it's forbidden. If you needed something and you have your friend, to say to him, oh my friend, please come, I have a need. This is not forbidden. But Allah is forbidding that you ask the dead people, and Allah considered this as shirk, paganism. That you should quit it. You should not do it anymore. The Prophet differentiated between life and death. A woman came to him just days before he died. She was asking him a certain need. Then he said, come to me tomorrow. She said, what if I did not find you? Imam Bukhari said, as if she meant death, or the narrator said, as if she meant death, his death, yani the Prophet's death. He said, if you did not find me, then go to Abu Bakr. And when Umar was in the year of famine, there was no water, it was dry, Umar gathered all the people and said to them, he said to Allah, oh Allah, when we used to have the famine at the lifetime of the Prophet, we used to be asking you by your Prophet. And by your Prophet means by his supplication. Because all the hadith prove that they used to come to the Prophet and say to him, oh Prophet, ask Allah for us. Now, asking the living person in front of him, in front of you, there is nothing wrong with that. You may say, but this is a mediation. Yes, this is mediation, but it's allowed. They're not asking him apart from, no. They're saying, oh Prophet, ask Allah. And he's in front of them. But after he died, the matter is different. Why? Who said it? Umar. He said, oh Allah, at the lifetime of the Prophet, we used to be asking you through him. That means we used to come to the Prophet and say, oh Prophet, look, we are in horrible situation, ask Allah. Then the Prophet used to be asking Allah. So, taking him as a mediator is not himself, his supplication. They're asking him to supplicate Allah for them. But you may say, oh, okay, so what about death? It's the same thing. No, it's not the same. Because Allah made it so clear, you should not be supplicating the deads. As for those who supplicate others, they are dead but not alive, and they do not perceive when will they be resurrected. So Allah made it so clear. I should not be asking the dead, oh, but the Prophet Muhammad is alive. Even if he's alive. When he was alive, before he died, people used to be shouting to let him hear them while he was in his house. How can you claim that after he died, his hearing became super, to the extent that if you're in London, he can hear you if you ask him. Whereas in his lifetime, those who came to the Prophet, they wanted him, they were shouting, yelling at him, and they were saying, "Oh Muhammad, come out!" They were shouting. So how come in his lifetime they used to shout to let him hear, but after he died, no. From wherever you be, even if you're in the moon, you ask him, "Oh Prophet," he can hear you. By this you are giving him a divine quality. Because who can hear millions at the same time? Despite the variety of their places, variety of time. Are you telling me that if millions ask the Prophet now after his death, he can hear all? See? This is how you're making a human being equal with Allah. Because there is no one that have this kind of quality except Allah. So, those who are seeking help from the dead people, they are making Allah similar to His creatures. The issue of the dead righteous people was the center, the beginning of paganism. The righteous people of Nuh died. People were very sad for their death. The devil whispered to them, "Make images for them so they can see them how they used to be worshipping God." Make a picture. They're going like that. So these pictures encourage you to worship God Almighty. They did it. The next generation, the devil whispered to them, "Your fathers built those images and statues and idols because they used to worship it. So worship it." That is why Ibn Hajar, the commentator of Bukhari, said, وَقِصَّةُ الصَّالِحِينَ, and the story of the righteous people was the beginning of worshipping the righteous people in the time of Nuh. And that is why in Islam, two things are forbidden: to make images. Second, to raise the graves. The grave should not be raised more than that, like this. So people, as they are coming, they don't step on the grave because it has a sanctity, a respect, a value still. So the Prophet didn't allow that we step over the graves. So that's why if we raise it just a little bit like this, so we can know that there is a grave here, so we don't step upon it. But more than that, no way. It's not allowed. It's not permitted. That is why the Prophet ﷺ, according to Sahih Muslim, the Prophet used to be ordering the graves not to be built, not to build anything over it, and to be exactly just like the land, but even a little bit to raise it, just for the purpose I told you. It was narrated in Al-Musannaf for Ibn Abi Shaybah that Uthman ibn Affan used to be making the graves equal to the earth, just like that, except a little bit tasneem, we call it. And he said the Prophet used to be ordering us to do that. And this narration, narrated by Abdullah ibn Sharhabil ibn Hasana, he said, I saw Uthman ordering people to make the graves equal to the earth like this. That's why Amr ibn Sharhabil, he said at his death time, don't raise anything over my grave, because I saw the Muhajirin, the companions of Rasulullah, used to be hating this. Ali ibn Abi Talib, he said to Abu al-Hayyaj al-Asadi, "Oh Abu al-Hayyaj, shall I send you with the same mission that the Prophet sent me with?" He said, "What?" He said that you do not leave any image, but you break it. nor you see any raised grave, but you make it equal to the earth. This is Islam. Now let's begin with the evidences from the Quran. The first evidence, if you remember, when Allah said, whenever they join the ark, they supplicate Allah sincerely. But when Allah saves them to the land, they return to their paganism. And the other evidence is what I mentioned, that Ibrahim was saying to his people regarding those idols, do they hear you when you call them? Or do they benefit you? Or harm you? They said, no, this is what we found our fathers worshipping, doing. In another ayah, he said in Surah Maryam, I isolate you, I keep myself away from you, and those whom you supplicate, call apart from Allah. But I call my Lord. Then right after that, the next ayah, the next verse, Allah said, so when he kept himself away from them and the things they worship. Look, Ibrahim said, I isolate you and those whom you call. Then Allah said, so when he isolated them with what they worship. So calling the deads is a matter of worship. No wonder when the Prophet said, ﷺ, "Ad-du'a huwa al-ibadah." This is authentic hadith. Supplication is a matter of worship. If it's a matter of worship, you should not be diverting this matter of worship to people. It should be done purely, sincerely, absolutely to Allah. I think you know, you love the honey. Yes. Do you love the cheated honey? No. I like the honey to be pure. Ah, okay. So Allah loves your worship to be as pure as the honey you love. To be pure. Because when you penetrate, when you mix shirk with your worship, the worship is not accepted anymore. This is exactly like one who has ablution, and then if he goes to the bathroom, his ablution is no more valid. Likewise is the matter of sincere worship. When you intercept it or mix with it paganism, then your worship will be invalidated. Just like the losing of your ablution, you're losing your worship, because Allah does not accept of worship except what had been done sincerely to Him. And now we're talking about people who raise their hands up and asking someone other than Allah. This is against the concept of monotheism in Islam. So it's not only to believe that there's one God. No. But Islam is something greater than that. And that is, your practice of worship should be practically monotheistic. That is to worship Allah alone. And the Prophet said, supplication is worship. So that supplication should be only directed to Allah, not to anyone else. So when you worship Allah, you have to make sure that you worship Him alone. So your worship will be approved and accepted. That is why we find the matter of supplication being considered as a matter of worship in one ayah, one verse. Look at that. Chapter Ghafir, verse 66. Allah said, قُلْ إِنِّي نُهِيتُ أَنْ أَعْبُدَ الَّذِينَ تَدْعُونَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ لَمَّا جَاءَنِيَ الْبَيِّنَاتُ مِن رَبِّي وَأُمِرْتُ أَنْ أُسْلِمَ لِرَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. Say, I was forbidden from worshipping those whom you call apart from Allah, when the clear verses had been revealed unto me, and I am ordered to submit to the Lord of the worlds. So Asking Allah alone is a matter of Islam, yes. I was forbidden to call those whom you worship, and I'm ordered to be a Muslim. That is very clear, that asking the dead is anti-Islam, anti-Tawheed. Second evidence. Allah the Almighty said, هو الحي لا إله إلا هو. It is He, Allah, upon whom there is no God, la ilah illahu, except Him. So supplicate Him, call Him, making your supplication as a matter of deen, worship, religion, faith, making that matter of religion and faith sincere to Him. It is He, the living one, and upon whom there is no other God but Him. So supplicate Him alone, sincerely. That's very clear. Third evidence. Allah the Almighty said, Allah said in Surah Al-Zumar, فَاعْبُدِ اللَّهَ مُخْلِصًا لَهُ الدِّينَ. So worship your Lord, making your faith sincere to Him. Worship, making your deen, religion, sincere to Him. Okay. Next chapter, Ghafir, number 14, Allah said, فَادْعُوا اللَّهَ مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ. Call upon Allah, making your religion sincere to Him. Subhanallah. In Az-Zumar, worship Allah, making your religion sincere to Him. In Ghafir, supplicate Allah, making your religion sincere to Him. They're so identical. The only difference is supplicate, worship, because supplication, calling, is a matter of worship. So as you see, the texts of the book and the Sunnah, they are so clear, concrete evidences that since the matter of supplication is a matter of worship, why we find people saying, "Oh Rasulullah, Ya Rasulullah." It is to me similar to, "Oh Jesus." It's similar to me of the Shia saying, "Oh Hussein, Ali, help me." This is shirk. There is a necessary connection between supplication and worship. Look, when Allah said, وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي عَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ أُجِيبُ دَعْوَةَ الدَّاعِ إِذَا دَعَانِ. If my servants ask you concerning me, I'm close, responding the call of anyone who supplicates me. Now let's apply this on the Prophet Muhammad. I wanted to see to analyze the horribleness of supplicating the dead. What if we say, or what if someone said, وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ مُحَمَّدٌ وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ النَّاسُ عَنْ مُحَمَّدٍ فَإِنَّهُ قَرِيبٌ يُجِيبُ دَعْوَةَ الدَّاعِ إِذَا دَعَاهُ. Huh? If someone asks you about Muhammad, tell them Muhammad is so close. He responds the call from anyone who calls upon him. Allah said, وَقَالَ رَبُّكُمْ ادْعُونِي أَسْتَجِبْ لَكُمْ. And your Lord said, call me, call upon me, invoke me, supplicate me, I'll respond to you. What if we say, and your Prophet said, call upon me and I'll respond to your call? We didn't say that. So why? Yes, this is, you're not saying this, but you're applying this. You're asking the dead, you're asking the Prophet. Oh, they may say, the Prophet is alive in his grave. Is he? Alright, wait a minute. What about when he was alive, before he was put in the grave? Were people asking him from far? No. According to Sahih Muslim, that Ibn Amir, he got injured, and he sent a message to the Prophet. And one of the soldiers took the message and went to the Prophet. Wait a minute, why didn't you, Ibn Amir, speak to the Prophet from far distance? Why not? because he was not Sufi. So what was contained in that message? Oh Rasulullah, ask Allah to forgive me. Couldn't he say it from far? But it's not allowed. As the Prophet received the message, he raised up his hands and he said, "Oh Allah, forgive your small servant Ibn Amir. Oh Allah, make him at the day of judgment over many of your creatures." That's it. So none of the companions used to believe that you can ask the Prophet from distant, even if when he was alive, before he was put in the grave. But why some people today, they are reversing the issue. When the Prophet was alive, yes, there's no one asking him when he was alive from distant places, from remote places. Do you remember the story of Aisha when she was forgotten in the desert? And the Prophet was in the army? And the army left Aisha, his wife, didn't realize that she was looking for something, and they left her. They did not recognize. And the Prophet was with them. The Prophet didn't know that she's there, still that she was left. And she kept waiting, sitting. She didn't say, "Oh Rasulullah, I'm here. Come back. Bring back the army. I'm alone." No. She had to come back to Medina. She was escorted by Safwan ibn Mu'attal. She was escorted. Are you telling me that the Prophet knows? Those Sufis say, yes, the Prophet knows everything. By Allah's permission. See, they just bring this, this label, by Allah's permission. They want to prove their shirk, justify their shirk, their paganism, by saying, by Allah's permission. But if Aisha knew that the Prophet, by Allah's permission, can hear, why didn't she call him? If the Prophet knows the unseen, did he ignore Aisha? Did he intentionally kept her in the desert? Is this a matter of honor? Does this fit the honor of the Prophet, that he leaves his wife in the desert to be escorted by a stranger, foreigner, to bring her back to Medina? That can show that your beliefs are not pure. So the Prophet was alive and people were not asking him from remote places. How much more after his death? Are you telling me that when he was alive, his hearing, his sight, his knowledge was normal, but after he died, everything became super, just equal to God Almighty, to the extent that if we have today 1.5 billion Muslims, let's say if 1.5 billion Muslims, they all ask the Prophet, can he listen to them? And if they asked him in need, can he give them their need? Are you talking about a human being or God? Be with me on a second episode, inshallah, regarding this beautiful issue, proving the tawheed of worship to Allah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.